In this lesson, we're going to discuss lines and angles and the relationships that they often have with each other. The first bit here, we just have some definitions, and I want you to understand what we've got going on. First, perpendicular lines. I'm going to use the phrase perpendicular quite frequently. Perpendicular lines form 90-degree angles when they intersect. So here's a line being crossed by another line, and they create a 90-degree angle. All of these angles are actually 90-degree angles, but because they form a 90-degree angle, they are considered perpendicular. Then we have parallel lines, which are two or more lines in the same plane that will never intersect. So you have two lines going forever in either direction. They will never intersect. They will never touch. They are considered parallel. And then you have skew lines. We don't talk about skew lines very often, but it's important to note they are. They do not intersect, but they are also not parallel. They lie in different planes. So if you can consider, think about my board right here and how it goes straight across. And imagine that it's a line that goes on forever in either direction. And then my marker is another line that goes on forever toward you and forever toward the board. Those lines are never going to intersect, and they're not in the same plane. This one's going forward and backward, okay? And this board, it's staying put. So at this point, those two lines are skew. They're not parallel, nor do they intersect, because they're not in the same plane. It's kind of 3D world here. Now we can talk about some angle relationships. Angles are considered adjacent if they have a common vertex and a common side, but no common interior points. They are, I call adjacent anything next to. So there are two angles that are next to each other. Adjacent sides would be two sides next to each other, perhaps in a polygon. Adjacent angles formed by two intersecting lines are supplementary. So here you go. You have two lines that intersect. Angle 2 and angle 3, they share a vertex, and they share this side right here, but they don't share any of their interior points. So they are called adjacent. Angle 2 and angle 3 are next to each other. But because they were formed by intersecting lines like this, they are also supplementary. Remember that a straight line has 180 degrees. So from here to here, I know that's an obtuse angle, and I know this is an acute angle. I don't know their exact measures, but I do know they're supplementary because together they create that straight line, that 180-degree angle. So I know that those two together are supplementary. And then we can talk about vertical angles, which are the opposite angles formed by two intersecting lines. Vertical angles are always congruent. It's one of the things I've always remembered from high school geometry are vertical angles. And so here are two intersecting lines. Angle 1 and angle 3, they are vertical angles. They are opposite angles formed by two intersecting lines. So they're opposite each other. Okay? Opposite. They're not next to each other, they're opposite. And because they are opposite each other, and because they're vertical angles, they are also congruent. So angle 1 and angle 3 are congruent. And then here, angle 4 and angle 2 are also vertical angles. So whenever you have two lines intersect, you have two pairs of vertical angles. So 2 and 4 are vertical angles, and angle 2 and angle 4 are also congruent. Now a transversal is a line that intersects two or more lines that lie in the same plane. Transversals with parallel lines form special angle pairs and have special properties. We'll be looking at one in just a moment. But I want you to have these three properties in your notes. Very important for the next little bit here. If two parallel lines are intersected by a transversal, then these three things are always going to be true. All of the acute angles that are formed will be congruent with each other. All of the obtuse angles that are formed will be congruent with each other. And then your acute angles paired with your obtuse angles will always form a supplemental pair. Okay? So here's a look at this. I've got two parallel lines. I've called them line A and line B, and they are intersected by a transversal. This is the transversal because it's the one intersecting two or more lines. This is not a transversal. This is only intersecting one line. This line A only intersects one line, but line T crosses two lines. So that is the transversal. And you can see that 8 angles are formed. It's very interesting. I made you a note so that you understood this notation. This equal sign with a little tilde on top of it is called It's notation that means is congruent to. So normally you'd see an equal sign, but when we're into geometric terms, we like talking about congruence, meaning exact rather than equality. I mean,